Hi, I'm Tanic Sims 2, but you can call me Tanny. And if your natural scientist sim has ever brought home the incredibly generous bonus of minus 32,734 simoleons and bankrupted their family, then this video is here to tell you why. Introduced in the first expansion pack as one of the 4 new careers only available to university graduates, the natural scientist career is a very lucrative one, especially when you get to the top rank. Ecological Gurus are the highest paid sims in terms of daily wages. They earn 10,497 simoleons, though they do have to work for 1 day a week for nearly 24 hours and wear this. When a sim is promoted, they'll bring home their new daily wage. So when a dinosaur cloner, level 9 of the natural scientist career, is promoted to level 10, instead of bringing home their previous salary of 2,283 simoleons, they'll get 10,497. The same will happen if they are promoted to Ecological Guru through chance card opportunities that can arise at both level 6 and level 9. On top of bringing home their new salary upon promotion, sims get given a one-off promotional bonus. Ordinarily, this is twice the daily wage. So for example, a gas station attendant promoted to convenience store clerk gets their new wage of 210 simoleons and a bonus of 420. So a sim promoted to Ecological Guru will not only get the base pay of 10,497, but also double that amount as a bonus. That's 20,994, meaning they'll end up with a whopping 31,491 simoleons in total that day. But wait, when players have reported their newly promoted Ecological Gurus annihilating the household's funds thanks to a promotional bonus of minus 32,734 simoleons, the wage isn't the usual 10,497. It's always 13,121. Now this is where we add the necessary component, the vital ingredient to our recipe, if you will. The penultimate expansion pack released for The Sims 2 Free Time introduced aspiration benefits. Though the same motive and work benefits are available for every sim, the primary and secondary aspiration benefits offer perks exclusive to each aspiration. For sims whose primary aspiration is fortune, the first one available is Skilled Negotiator. Secondary fortune sims can also unlock this one immediately after setting up their secondary aspiration if they have enough points. The Skilled Negotiator perk boosts daily wages by 1.25 times or 125%. So a primary or secondary fortune Ecological Guru with this benefit has their salary bumped from 10,497 to 13,121 simoleons. Okay, but 13,121 multiplied by 2 is 26,242. Definitely not minus 32,734. So why do Ecological Gurus not get their proper promotional bonus of 26,242? Well, the salary isn't the only thing getting a boost. Instead of simply doubling the wage to calculate the promotional bonus as normal, Borja20 over on Mod The Sims found that the Skilled Negotiator perk actually multiplies it by 2.5 or 250%. They confirmed this by testing with other careers, so let's do the same with one that's visually obvious. A mailroom technician, the first level of the adult business career, promoted to executive assistant, would normally get 252 simoleons, plus a promotional bonus of 504. But a fortune sim with the skilled negotiator benefit in this same scenario comes home with a new wage of 315. So you would expect the bonus to be twice that amount, 630. But it's not. Their bonus is actually 787 simoleons. 315 multiplied by 2.5 is indeed 787. Well, 787.5 if you want to be precise. But the shorter in-universe answer is that Sim Nation uses a non-decimal currency with simoleons, so no cents or pennies or whatnot, while the more technical explanation is that in The Sims 2, money is only represented as whole numbers or integers. So if an arithmetic operation results in a decimal, then it is truncated, which is just a fancy way of saying everything after the decimal point is chopped off and basically ignored, rather than rounded up like we might do in the real world. Point is, we've ended up with a promotional bonus of 787 simoleons instead of the expected 630 here, therefore we can definitely confirm the skilled negotiator benefit also increases the bonus multiplier from 2 to 2.5. This ultimately means that the promotional bonus for Ecological Gurus with this perk is actually 2.5 times or 250% of 13,121, which is 32,802 after truncation. So why can't they just come home with that amount? What's gone wrong? We know the game can handle big numbers, especially when it comes to funds, because the cheat motherload adds 50,000 each time. Some career chance cards award 50, 75, even 100,000 in one go, and most of all households can accrue hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions through normal gameplay, although the game does have a self-imposed limit of just under 10 million simoleons for family funds. Well, the answer is this. These specific variables of daily wages and promotional bonuses are signed 16-bit integers. Simply put, this means the absolute maximum value that can be represented is 32,767. 32,802 is, of course, larger than 32,767. I'm sure you didn't need me to tell you that. And that's how we've ended up with a textbook case of integer overflow. The result of an arithmetic operation falls outside of the range that can be represented. In our case, the value is too large and exceeds the maximum. Typically, overflow is handled by wrapping around to the minimum value. In the case of signed 16-bit integers, that's minus 32,768. It then continues back up from there. This is exactly why we've got a negative number here. We can instantly see this behavior in action if we try to manually exceed the limit by tuning any of the behavior constant files for daily wages in SimPE. Set the value as 32,768 or 8,000 in hexadecimal, and immediately it wraps around to minus 32,768. So what does this mean in terms of affecting gameplay? Well, other than looking quite odd, the negative bonus leads to a total subtraction of 19,613 simoleons from the family funds. Okay, maybe using the word annihilating earlier was a tad over dramatic, but that is quite a substantial loss if your household doesn't have a lot more than that in the bank. If they have less than that, well, the good news is that you won't lose any money. But if you have testing cheats enabled, then you'll hit an error, and if you don't, your sim will stop what they were doing and reset, better known as a jump bug. Side note, the breakpoint is deliberately triggered for debugging purposes. The alter budget function where the transaction happens shouldn't fail, but if it does, like in the case of Overflow, leading to an attempt to subtract funds that the household can't afford, it returns false and hits this conditional breakpoint that says if literal 0x0001 exclamation mark equals sign 0, literals are fixed values, and literal 0x0001 just means the number 1 as we understand it. The exclamation mark equal sign operator means not equal to, so it's saying if 1 is not equal to 0, return true. That condition is always going to be true, so the breakpoint is always triggered. You get an error dialog with the message tree break encountered, or your sim is automatically reset and the code is stopped. Just thought that was a neat safeguard, and hopefully that explanation makes the error a bit less intimidating if you've ever run into this specific problem before. Obviously, all that isn't game breaking, but it is still annoying, and if you weren't aware of this bug before, then the negative bonus looks pretty concerning. So you might worry if you did something wrong, or if it's from a mod. Nope, integer overflow is a common software glitch, not exclusive to The Sims 2, and if it's accompanied by an object error, that is just because the household doesn't have enough funds to subtract the resulting negative pay amount from. So that's how and why we get a negative number, but if you're interested in why the bonus becomes minus 32,734 specifically, then stick with me. First, we're going to need to understand what a computer sees. That is zeros and ones. Base 2, more commonly known as binary. Here's what a signed 16-bit integer looks like in binary, spaced out for readability. There are, well, 16 bits, hence the name, but not all of them actually represent the number's absolute value or magnitude. That's because the leftmost bit, the very first one, or 0, is designated as the sign. It's called the most significant bit, and it indicates whether the number is positive or negative. If the most significant bit is 0, then it's positive, and if it's 1, it's negative. Unsigned integers, on the other hand, can only represent positive values, so the most significant bit is not a sign indicator. It contributes to the magnitude. With that in mind, this is what 32,802 looks like in binary. It's 1 followed by 9 zeros, 1, 3 more zeros, another 1, and finally a 0. Immediately you may have noticed the very first bit is a 1. As this is an unsigned 16-bit integer, that's just another part of the number's magnitude. The maximum unsigned 16-bit integer is 65,536, so 32,802 would be well within that range. But we've proven that a signed integer is expected here, so already you can start seeing how this bit pattern gets interpreted as a negative number, but we still need to go a little deeper. The most common method computers use to encode signed integers in binary is called 2's complement. The main idea is that negative numbers need to be represented in binary as well as positive ones. And this is a way of ensuring uniformity, so arithmetic becomes a lot more efficient, and the same logic is employed for both positive and negative numbers, simplifying the process. 2's complement not only reserves the most significant bit for the sign and stores the magnitude in the remaining bits as we've covered, but it most importantly represents negative numbers by taking their corresponding positive values, inverting the bits, and adding 1 to the result. To demonstrate how it all works, let's take the absolute value of the negative bonus we receive, so 32,734, and convert it to binary. It looks like this. The most significant bit is of course 0, since it's positive, followed by 9 ones, a 0, 4 more ones, and finally another 0. To find its 2's complement negative notation, first we have to flip the bits, that is, invert them. All the 0s become 1s, and all the 1s become 0s. Finally, we have to do some binary addition and add 1 to the least significant bit, so the rightmost bit, and that means for this number, the final bits change from 0, 1 to 1, 0. So this is what minus 32,734 looks like in 2's complement representation. It's 1 because it's a negative number, followed by 9 zeros, 1, 3 more zeros, another 1, and finally a 0. Wait, let's compare 32,802 and the 2's complement of minus 32,734 in binary. You're not going crazy, and I haven't just accidentally copied and pasted the same number twice. The bit patterns are indeed identical. But see, the thing about binary is that a lot of bit patterns are bound to be identical when it's limited to only 2 possible digits. So what a computer relies on is context. And the context here is that this value needs to be a signed 16-bit integer. And so that's how it gets interpreted. It can't possibly be 32,802. So it must be the 2's complement of minus 32,734. It makes sense that any data related to money would need to be stored as signed integers because it has to represent negative values, and a 16-bit register was more than sufficient when it came to wages, bonuses, and total take-home pay. In fact, most values in The Sims 2 are signed 16-bit integers. From object prices to neighbor IDs or NIDs, the unique number representing each sim in a neighborhood. But to fully represent 32,802 as a signed integer, you need one more bit, a 0 as the most significant bit, to indicate the positive sign. You'd probably even need to go up a register to 32-bit, but that would be totally overkill for this situation. It's 2004, wages really don't need to be that large, and not to mention 32-bit integers take up more space in memory, 4 bytes compared to 2. By the way, just as another side note, another way to work out how we got this number would be by taking the true mathematical result and subtracting the maximum unsigned 16-bit integer. 32,802 minus 65,536 equals minus 32,734. Now, I am trying to keep this as simple and accessible as possible because modular arithmetic is tricky, but yes, this formula works in case of overflow, and I wanted to acknowledge that. Anyway, when all the bit patterns get converted to the numbers we're used to in the quote-unquote real world and can understand denary / base 10 / decimal in the text notification pop-up alerting us of our Sims achievement, it looks incredibly weird. You don't need to be a maths genius and know the correct result of 13,121 times 2.5 off the top of your head to understand minus 32,734 can't possibly be correct, because a positive number multiplied by another positive number should never result in a negative. We know that. It's a fundamental rule of arithmetic. But as far as the computer's concerned, this is what was asked for. It's not going to apply the logic we would and think, oh, actually that can't be right. It must mean this instead. It's limited to the data type. It's also not going to throw an error during the calculation either. It's going to just quietly wrap around, and that's how we end up with the negative bonus. While the default salary plus promotional bonus for Ecological Gurus without the perk may have been cutting it fine at a total of 31,491 simoleons, it's still within the range. It's entirely possible the high wages for natural scientists were overlooked or unaccounted for during the development of free time. Even if the developers had coded the skill Negotiator benefit so that it only boosts salaries while bonuses were still double that amount, or you were able to circumvent it somehow, well, you'd still run into a very similar problem, just with a different variable. While 13,121 and 26,242 are within the range of assigned 16-bit integer individually and can be represented normally, the sum, so the total take-home pay, can't. It's too large. It's 39,363. That needs to be assigned 16-bit integer too. In fact, you'd actually be worse off in terms of money lost here, because it would wrap around to minus 26,173 simoleons, so you'd lose more than you do with the 2.5 times bonus boost and increase your chances of the object error if you have insufficient funds. Without an error, so if you do have enough money, you may not even notice any money has been taken because the text notification looks fine and the transaction icon is easy to miss. So hey, silver linings and all that. Again, nothing game breaking, but still confusing and inconvenient. So what can you actually do about it? Well, the obvious answer would be to never let graduates with the skilled negotiator aspiration benefit reach the top of the natural scientist career. But I don't like the idea of telling you to avoid certain game features at all costs, especially when this bug is so uncommon because it requires so many conditions to even manifest in the first place. You'll need the university and free time expansion packs, plus your sim has to have a university degree, either obtained organically or through tools like the Batbox, plus they have to be either a primary or secondary fortune sim, plus they have to have the skilled negotiator perk, and finally they not only have to be in the natural scientist career, but have to reach the top level. Unless you get lucky with the chance card at level 6 that fast tracks the promotion, getting a sim to the top of their career isn't exactly easy, especially without the help of mods. You have to have a certain amount of family friends, you have to build skills to a very high level. To get promoted to Ecological Guru in particular, your sim needs a minimum of 12 family friends and high body and cleaning skills, and mechanical and logic must be maxed out. That's no easy feat. It's such a rare scenario, and promotional bonuses are a one-off, that it is totally plausible that it just wasn't accounted for in development. But that doesn't make it any less annoying, so something you could do if this does happen to occur in your game is making a note of how much the household has in family funds before the promotion, and then using the family funds cheat to give them the total they're actually entitled to, which is 45,923. You may have guessed this already, but yes, minus 19,613 is not only the sum of 13,121 plus minus 32,734, it's also exactly how 45,923 would be interpreted in 16-bit 2's complement. This option won't work, however, if there is another household in the neighborhood with the same name whose family instance number is higher. That is, they were created after the household you're currently playing, as the cheat will grant them the money instead. Like with most bugs and some features, hardworking modders in the community have addressed this issue. The main mod is by Midge the Tree over on Tumblr and will be linked in the description down below. It works by checking if the total pay is less than 0, and if it is, then it is clamped to 32,767 simoleons instead. That's called saturation or saturating arithmetic, and it's another way of handling integer overflow. The text notification will still show the negative bonus amount, however, rest assured your household has not lost any money. From there, you could then add the remaining 13,156 to the funds using the family funds cheat if you want to give your sim the full 45,923 simoleons they're entitled to. Now, if you already have the sim salary optional bonus mod by Pick and Mix mods, then Midge's fix won't be necessary because it works similarly, only it also adds the full amount automatically, which is pretty neat. Midge's mod just focuses on fixing the negative bonus, whereas that's not the main feature of Pick and Mix's mod, so choose which one will work best for you. So yeah, now you not only know how and why this bug occurs, but also how to deal with it, so you can prevent your natural scientist Sim's nightmare from coming true. Well, hello! If you have made it this far, then here's a big, massive thank you for watching. This has always been one of my all-time favourite bugs in The Sims 2, so I really hope I've done it justice and you all find it as groovy as I do, because I think it's fun. I just like integer overflow bugs. Also, I hope you liked the new editing techniques I've tried out. I had a lot of fun playing around with everything. This whole video simply wouldn't have been possible without Borhard20's investigation into and confirmation of the 2.5 times bonus boost. It's the crucial final piece of the puzzle, so I owe them a big massive thank you as well. I'm not sure if they are the first or only person to have ever talked about it. I couldn't find that information elsewhere, but because I've used their investigation and their results, I am going to credit them fully. I also would like to give major shout outs, of course, to Midge the Tree and Pick and Mix mods for their dedication and hard work they put into fixing this issue and all that they do for the community as a whole. Definitely recommend checking them out. As usual, there will be a document linked in the description listing all my sources, and I've also included all the custom content and mods that made this video possible in order of appearance. On screen now is a list in alphabetical order of all the creators who helped bring my vision to life. I know it's not that deep, but I appreciate every single one of them who had the exact sort of niche mod or CC I needed, so thank you. Now, things are a bit up in the air for me at the moment because I am in the process of applying for a new job, so I can't make any promises about when I'll next upload or even what that video might be. I'm hoping it'll be another installment in this series because I have already started working on that, or the big corruption corrections video, since that's also already in progress as well. I'm trying to keep this short and sweet, but basically I had a lot of laptop troubles last year that meant I wasn't able to upload as much as I had wanted to. You know, I had to get a new laptop, and luckily the transition to Windows 11 was very smooth for me, so I haven't had trouble getting The Sims 2 on this new one. But my PSP game, for example, is on another old and very slow laptop, and I'm not sure I can transfer it over. I'll keep trying, but also I'm actually still recording audio on that old and very slow laptop because it just does not sound right on this new laptop for whatever reason, so that has been slowing things down quite a lot. Just a reminder, I post on my community page every Sunday at 3 PM my time and give regular updates there because I never want to just disappear completely. We also talk about a new Sims related topic every week, so if you don't already join in with the discussions, then absolutely check out. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. As always, thank you so much for just being here, really. Hopefully this video helped you in some way, or was just a nice way of spending 20 minutes of your time. Either way, thank you so much for watching. I am sorry this took a bit longer than anticipated, but until next time, please remember to stay safe, be good, and most of all, happy simming. I appreciate you all very much. Bye!